Hi everyone, Nikos Paphitis here from sunny Cyprus and welcome to this tutorial. This tutorial is based on the 2025 February-March paper 3.1 for the web design component, and in this tutorial I'm using Expression Web for all of you guys that are using Expression Web. Now, this tutorial, as I said, only focuses on the web design. If you want to see task 1 and task 2, which is the evidence document and the file management, or task 4, which is the spreadsheet component, just check out the playlists and you're going to be able to find those so you can see the complete tutorial for this whole paper. Now, the Expression Web that I'm going to be using, some of you have been asking me, where do I download it from? If you've got trouble finding Expression Web or you want to get the version which I'm using for these tutorials, just drop me an email and I will send it to you. So let's get started with solving this paper with Expression Web. Okay, so as always, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to have a look at this question paper. And this is task 3, web page. It says here, you're going to be creating a web page for the Tawara construction website. Create in your plaster folder. Now, plaster we already made the folder in task 2. So if you want to go and see that part of the tutorial as well for this paper, if you look in the description of this video, at the bottom, I've got links to task 1 and 2, and I've also got a link for task 4, which is the spreadsheet part. But essentially, that part was simply creating a folder called plaster in our main folder with all our files, and then copy pasting some of the files they told us to copy paste into that plaster folder. So this is the plaster folder we're going to be using. Okay, it says we're going to be creating a web page called m25plaster.htm. This web page must be created using a single table and work in all browsers. The table must be center aligned and fit 95% of the browser window. The table must have a structure as shown in this diagram. Okay, so we can see here the diagram. And if we look at the bottom, it says each table cell is identified with a letter which must not appear on your final web page. Table and cell borders must appear on the final web page. This word here, final, that kind of draws me towards that I don't really need to do anything about the borders. More than likely, we're going to create a style sheet, or they give us a style sheet, which is going to make sure that the borders are available or visible, but we can look at that as we go along. So the first step, I always say this, is extend all the lines of the table so you can see how many rows and columns there are. Now, in general, these are really easy. You don't need to do this, but I have seen a couple of papers in the past where if you don't actually extend the lines, you will get the table wrong. So it's good practice to do it every time. So here's this line. I'm just going to extend that out. This one's extended. I'm going to extend that one out as well. And this one. And now we can see we've got 1, 2, 3 rows and a total of 4 columns. Okay, so that's 3 by 4. So we know that's going to work if we do that. Let's go and open up Expression Web. There we go. So here's Expression Web. Now then, what I want to do is, first of all, if you don't know how to set up Expression Web, you never used it before, it's really important that you set it up properly. And if you want to have the same setup as I have here, I actually do have a tutorial on that. I'm just going to bring you over to that. I'll just bring you into my channel and show you how you can find these really easily. So if you have a look here, this is my channel, and if you go to my channel, you click on the search button here and you simply type expression. You're going to see all the tutorials I have on Expression Web, and we've got this one here, this Expression Web quick intro. This one here actually explains how to set up the interface for Expression Web, and you will end up having something similar to what I have here. Now, obviously, I'm going to be showing you some things as well, but this is a really good video if you haven't used Expression Web or you're not comfortable. But it's also really good to know how to set up Expression Web because at the exam center, depending on where you're going to take the exam, they may not have it set up the way that you want, and it will get a little bit difficult. So the first thing we said we're going to do is we're going to create that table. Now, at the top up here, I'm just going to go to, first of all, create my HTML, File, New, create a new HTML. Here it is here. You can see it's added some information. And what I always do, I get rid of some of the things that I don't really want displayed. So this thing at the top here, I'm just going to get rid of that line at the top. I don't need that. And I'm going to get rid of this text here, the XMLS, which is for www3 schools. Just delete that there, but do not delete the HTML tag. It's okay if you leave that information there. That's absolutely fine. It's just me. I just don't like that extra data which is in there. This one here you can leave because it's to do with the character sets that it uses. And it may be that in some paper, they actually ask you to change the character set, and you can just come here and just change whatever they give you and put that there. So you don't have to remember how to enter the character set. Okay, with that done, the next step is let's save this file in our folder. So file, save as. I'm going to go to my folder, which I've got on my desktop here. There it is. And I'm just going to call that what it says, M25 plaster. Okay, there it is there. It's saving it as a web page, so that's good. Save. Make sure you're saving with small letters or capital letters exactly as displayed in the question paper. And I can just see up here in the title bar, it's actually got the file name, which I gave it, so I know it's been saved. Okay, so the next step is to create the table, which is going to be 3 rows by 4 columns. Now, a couple of ways to create a table is this. If at the top up here in this ribbon, if you right click, you can see the different ribbons that you can put, or the quick access bars. Okay, so I've got these ones here. I don't need tables currently. I tend to remove the ones I don't really need initially because it gives me a little bit more window space, but you can add. And since we are going to be using tables, I will open tables. But even without that, we've got up here the tables button. So I can click on this and go to more options. And that opened this dialog box. The other way of doing this is I can go up here where I've got the table tab, and I can just choose insert table, and that's going to give me this dialog box as well. So either way you use is absolutely fine. So we said 4 rows. Is it 4? No, 3 rows and 4 columns. It says here that the alignment, does it say anything about the alignment? Let's go have a look. Center aligned. So I forgot to highlight that. There it is there. Center aligned and 95% of the window. So we want the alignment of the table to be center, and we want it to be 95%. So make sure we've got percent here. I'm going to click on OK. And here's my table. Now, as always, you know, I want to save this and just open it in my browser. But obviously I can see here that the borders, they're not visible, so I won't see anything. So let's just move on a little bit. I'm going to select this top row and merge the cells because that's what this table looks like. So the first one has got all the cells merged across. Then I've got 2, for B, I've got 2 cells merged, C, 2 cells merged, and these ones are left alone. Now, from here, if I want to merge these cells, if I right click up here, make sure you've got the tables selected. And then from that, you can easily click the merge cell button. Okay. Now I'm going to select these 2 cells. And from the top up here in the table, you've also got modify and you've got merge cells. So that's another way to find merge cells. And I also want to merge these ones here as well. So that's my setup. Now, the next thing that I want to do is to make the borders visible. And if I'm going to, if there's going to be something which is going to make the borders visible later, then I can go remove this, but I want the borders visible so I can preview and make sure everything looks okay. So what I'm going to do, if I select this table, there's a couple of ways of doing this. If I select this table, we can see here it's got the table tab here. The other way I could select the whole table is if I click away, if I go up here and click on that table tag in the code, in the HTML source code, again, that's perfect. It will select the table. And if I look on the left-hand side, I've got all my attributes and I've got here border. So I'm just going to put 1px. Press enter, and there are my borders. So I can see my borders. This whole tag properties here on the left, this is fantastic because any tag you click on, it will show you the properties for all the attributes that you can add to that tag. And that's what I really like about web expression or expression web. Okay, next part, I'm just going to go to File, Save, and I'm going to open so here's my web page I created. So I'm going to double click on this so I can open this in my browser. And there you go. And this is what I'm going to be doing all the time just to check everything I'm doing is correct. So my merge cells are correct. My table is center aligned, and yep, looks fine. And my table is 95%. And as I adjust the size of this window, we can see my table changes because we've said that the table is 95% of this browser window. Perfect. Let's minimize that. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next part. So we've created the table. We've got the table. We've done the center line, 95%. We've done all the borders. Perfect. The next step is let's place in cell A the image M25 logo and set the width of this image to 100% of cell size. So A is at the top up here. Okay, now images. I get a lot of questions in the comments about when do what is the aspect ratio? When do I remove the height, or when do I remove the width, or when do I have to put the width and the height? So I'm going to spend a little bit of time explaining the dimensions of images right now. I'm going to click inside cell A, or this top cell here. I'm going to add an image. I can do that by going to Insert, and then from here I can choose Picture from File, or from this main toolbar at the top, I can click this image, insert picture file from here. It's entirely up to you. Now, because I've saved my folder or my HTML in my folder with all my other files, it opens this folder. Here's my image, N25 logo, select it and click insert. Now, we can see this picture is quite big. And if we look at the code here, we can see it's given me the dimensions. Width is 1,800 pixels and the height is 500 pixels. Now, why did it do this? Well, if we have a look at the dimensions of this image, here it is here, we can clearly see here that the dimensions say the picture is 1,800 pixels by 500. So when you insert an image, it will automatically give the original width and height of that image as it was saved. Now, if I want to change the size of the image to make the width 500 pixels and maintain the aspect ratio, well, some people, they just do this. They go to the width and they change it to 500. But what's happening here is I'm saying the width is 500, but I'm also saying the height is 500. So when I click away, I get a square image, which is normal, but my image now is distorted. It is squashed. That means I have destroyed the aspect ratio. So how do I know what the height should be when I change the size of the width? Well, you can't. Well, you can if you do the maths, but you don't have to. What you need to do, if you're going to change a dimension, either the height or the width, and you want to maintain the aspect ratio, then what you need to do, you need to delete the other attribute. So in this case, I was changing the width. I'm going to delete the height. And when I click in here now, you can see the width is 500 pixels and the height, well, I don't know how big that is. I don't care. What it's saying is it's made the width 500 and the height automatically adjusts to whatever size it should be to maintain the aspect ratio. So that's when we delete a property. Okay. Now, in this particular case, for this example, and if I just do a quick save here, and if I say this is going to be 1,000 instead of 500, you're going to see why now. So if I click here, you can see that's 1,000. The height has changed automatically. I'm going to save that, and I'm going to preview this. Now, what is this doing? You can see as I change the size of my browser window, my table is changing size. My picture is not, though. And if I make my browser window smaller than the picture is cut off and I now get a horizontal scroll bar. Why is this? Well, because we've said that the picture is going to be 1,000 pixels wide, maintaining the aspect ratio. The picture cannot change size because you fixed the size of that picture. So what do we need to do? Well, it says here we need to make it 100% of the cell. When we use percentage instead of pixels, then what we're saying, we're going to set the percentage. So if I make the width 100% and I delete the height, then it's 100% of what? You see, a percentage means a percentage of something. The percentage in this case is going to be whatever is containing the picture. My picture is contained inside this cell. So if I say my width is going to be 100%, it's going to take 100% of that cell. As big as that cell is, that picture is going to take the 100% width of that cell. The height, well, it's going to automatically adjust because I'm not using the height attribute. So if I click away, you can see now that's using a massive part of that. It's using the whole cell width. If I save that and preview, okay, I can see I've got that extra cell there, and that's because when I deleted the height, I can see that there. You can see I've got the speech marks open here for the style, but I deleted the speech marks at the end here. So I'm just going to add those speech marks back in again. I don't need that semicolon, but let's just leave it there. Control S. And if I reload this now, there you go. That bit's gone. If I get rid of that semicolon as well, it should be fine. And let's just have a look. Yes, there we go. Now, as you can see, as I change the size of this browser window, there you go. It's taking the full width of that cell. So that's what 100% means. If I had this picture inside, let's say, the general part of my window browser without being in the table, then it will fit the 100% of the browser window, not 100% of the cell it's inside. So the percentage basically means to use the percentage of the container, whatever is containing that picture. All right, so I hope dimensions is a little bit more clear for you now. All right, so let's move on. We're just going to do a quick save there again, file save, and go to the question paper. So we've added this one. Now the next part says place in cell B, video and source. And it wants you to use the video tag. Now the video tag is a HTML5 tag. It doesn't exist, or Expression Web, especially this version and any other version, does not support the video tag. So you're going to have to type this out. Now, as good as Expression Web is, I think this is the only weakness it has. Dreamweaver has got other weaknesses, so it really kind of balances out. But in this particular case, the video tag, you're going to have to add it in manually. I'm going to show you an easy way to do that. And we want to put the video and source tag to display this video. We need to make sure that the controls are visible. We're going to see that. We're going to build this up slowly. And that the video loops when played. Now, display an automated text-based error message if the browser does not support this video type. And this is like 6 marks. This is fantastic. So let me show you how you can build this up really easily. So the video tag, well, it tells you to use the video tag. So straight away, you know you're going to use the video tag. But if you look at this image tag here, the one that we use to place the image for the logo at the top, you can see the code. It says image source this. So you can use this exactly as it is and use it for the video tag. So I'm going to scroll down here, click in this cell where I want to put the video. And I can actually simply do this, copy all of this. Copy that whole image tag, go in the appropriate cell, paste that image, oops, sorry, not there. Paste it here where that NBSP is for that cell there, delete that and paste my image tag. Now that's going to put that image in again, but this time I'm going to change this from image to, let's just bring that down so we can separate all of this, make it nice and clear. So this is where I'm going to change that IMG to video, and the source is going to be the name of my video, which in this case is M25 Plaster MP4. So I'm going to change that M25 Plaster .mp4, And watch, I'm going to leave the 100% for the width as well. And watch what happens now. When I click over here, look, it's put my video tag. Now, here I'm getting this TD and this highlighted T, and that's because I've got the video tag open, but I haven't closed it. So I'm just going to close that video tag there. There you go. And that works fine. Perfect. Now, if I save this, Control S, and go and preview this, there you go. There's my video. Now, I don't have any controls. I can't make this thing play. I can't make it play because, well, and you can see that 100% is also working. Now, did it say to make it 100%? No. Does it matter that you make it 100%? No. In fact, I prefer it because it will adjust when I adjust my browser window. But you won't lose marks if you don't put the 100% value. But I can't play because I don't have controls. So let's go and add the controls. So in the video tag here, I can, at the end of this tag right there, I can put, for example, controls. Let's get rid of that capitals. Equals controls. It's that simple. Now, if I save that and reload, I now have the controls. Can you see at the bottom? I can click on the play and there it is. It's play my video. Perfect. All right. So now the fact that this is taking a lot of space because it's using 100%, don't worry about that right now, because when we add more things in the other cells, it will automatically adjust. Okay. It also says it has to loop. So exactly the same thing. Loop equals loop. Control S to save. And we can have a look at that now again. Can you see every time I add something, I'm just reloading this. So as soon as I press play, so that should keep looping. There you go. And you can see it's looping over and over and over again. Perfect. Now, there are other controls they may ask you to add, and they don't have them in this paper. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. For example, autoplay. Now, autoplay means as soon as the web page loads up, it's going to play the video automatically. So you can just put autoplay, if that's what they tell you, equals to, just type autoplay. However, if they do tell you to put autoplay and you put the attribute autoplay, that should be fine, but it won't work. Watch this. If I do this now and reload, it doesn't start. It won't start. It won't autoplay. And that's because a video may have very loud sound. And as soon as somebody loads up a web page, it starts blaring out. So the only way the autoplay would work is if you also put the muted attribute. So the video starts muted. So I'm going to add here as well, muted equals muted. Control S. And let's reload that. And now this, because it's going to be muted, should play automatically. Let's just reduce that a bit. There we go. And if I reload, there you go. It plays automatically. Okay. It will loop, but we can see that mute button there. It's muted. Okay. Now I can enable it, but for it to work, for the autoplay to work, it has to be muted. Now they didn't ask me to do this. So for this case, I'm just going to delete these. That was just some extra information for you there. I don't need those two there. I'm going to show you one more thing. They tell us to add the fallback text. So if the video is not supported by your browser, it should give some fallback text. Now you simply type the text here. Okay. So that will be your browser does not support the video file type. That's it. That's the fallback text. And that's what they ask you to do at this point here. Display automated text. And it actually shows you here, browser does not support this video type. So you can use that as the error message. Your browser does not support the video type. Okay, I've got a little spelling mistake there. Now, the last thing I want to show you on video, and I'm doing a little bit more video because Expression Web does not support the video file tag. I'm going to show you one more thing. So there are cases where you might get different video file types, and they say, well, just like you do with the fonts, where they say it has to use, let's say, Times New Roman. If that's not available, any serif font. Well, you can do this also with video file type. So if you've got, let's say, more than one video file type, so I'm just going to do this here. Let's say I had this video file type as an AVI as well. So I'm just going to copy paste that and just change this to .avi. Okay, if I click yes. So what this is saying is I've got the same video as an AVI file type or an MP4 file type. And they might say it should play the AVI file type first. And if that's not available, it should try and play the MP4 file type. And if neither are supported by your browser, it should give the fallback text here. So to do this, we need to separate the source tag from here, because when we put the source inside the video, we can only put one source. So I'm just going to cut that out. And underneath here, I'm going to put my source tag. So I'm going to put here source, paste that in, and close that tag. Now, this basically means the video type is going to be these controls, so on and so, and the source is here. The first one that I want to do is the AVI. So the first one is going to try and play is going to be the AVI. I'm going to copy that, paste it underneath, and this one's going to be the MP4. Now, so what this is going to do is going to open the video tag. It's going to look for the m25plaster.avi file and try and play it. If it plays, then it will play it fine. It will move on. If it can't play it, your browser, then it will try and open the MP4 file. If it can play that one, fine. If it can't, then it will display the fallback text here. Okay. And that's how you can have more than one video file type. So you can support more browsers, let's say. So if I do a Control S there, the first one is going to be AVI, and let's just see if it plays that. There you go. And if I press on play, it's playing it and it will be looping it. So more than likely what it's doing, it's playing this one here because I simply changed the extension of this one and that's not an actual AVI file. But that's how you will be able to add multiple video sources. Again, this was not asked from the exam paper, so I'm just going to delete that one. But I don't have to delete the source tag. I can leave it separate or I can leave it inside here, inside the video tag. It's entirely up to you. Okay, that was adding the video. Let's move on. So we now go to number 5. It says here, place in cell C the text from the file m25text.txt. Apply the paragraph style to this text. Okay, well, that's simple enough. If I simply open my text, there it is here, open the text file, Control A to select everything, Control C to copy, I can close that now, and then next to my video one here, I can paste, not twice, once, paste my text. Now I'm going to go to save and I'm going to go to preview. And let's see what that looks like now. And now you can see, now that I've put some text next to this cell here where the video is, that video has automatically adjusted size. Okay. Now I said I made this 100%, the video 100%. You didn't have to, and whatever it shows you, that's fine. But the good thing is it can adjust with the browser window now. So that was that part. That was easy enough. We just need to go and change this now. So if we go to the very beginning of our text and we go to the top up here where the format is, and I need to change that to paragraph. Okay. And that puts the P tag there. Okay. So that makes all of these, this text here as format paragraph. Okay, so let's save again, Control S. And again, since I've made the change, I'm going to do a quick preview. There. Perfect. Now we can move on. It now says enter in cell D the text specialist plastering. Cell E, we want other construction. F, contact us, and G, edited by, followed by a space, and then your name, center number, and candidate number. Apply style H2 to all the text in these cells. All right, so I'm just going to copy paste these over. You're going to have to type them, but you need to make sure you type them out exactly as they are. So in the first cell, we're putting in that one, specialist plastering. Then I want other construction in that cell. Then I want contact us in that one. And then finally, I want in this one at the end, edited by with a colon followed by a space. Colon, space, my details. And I'm going to select all of these now. So if I just scroll over here and just select all of these, just that row there, I can make that into heading 2. So at the top up there in that main bar at the top, we want heading 2. And there you go. It's modified those to look as heading 2. All right, let's go down. Number 7, it says make the specialist plastering a link to open the web page that, and also in a new window called _blank. Then other construction as a link to this page, and then contact us as an email, should send an email here with that as a subject and the exclamation mark as well. Okay, so let's go and do these now. So this is where I like Expression Web, because especially for the email component, it's really easy to do. It's much easier than doing it in Dreamweaver. So first one, I'm simply going to select all of my text here, specialist plastering. At the top, I've got this hyperlink button here, insert hyperlink. Now you should have a right click one. There you go, hyperlink as well. So either one you click, that's fine. You're going to get this dialog box, and from here you can create any hyperlink. I want to link to an existing file or web page, and the first one is M25 spec. So I just need to go to my folder. I've got this in my desktop. There I am, and inside the plaster folder. So the first one I want is M25 spec, that one. That adds the link, but I also want to open it in a blank page. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can do this. I can right click on this and go to hyperlink properties. Okay, or I can click on that hyperlink again, and I should be able to see here, and I could have done this from before, target frame. Now, I'm going to show you two ways to this. If I click on target frame, it says new window, it puts _blank automatically. If it didn't and it had default, I can actually just type _blank. Okay, so either way you do it, that's fine. Click on OK and OK, and that's done. And we can see now in the code target equals blank. The other way we can do this is if we select that text and we look over here in my attributes, I've got target, and I can simply type _blank here. That would also work. You don't need to go from the dialog box. Let's do the next one, other construction. So we've got this one. I'm going to click on the link at the top, and this time I want to go to M25 const. Now, if I had a target frame, I will click target frame, but they haven't given me a target frame, so I'm going to leave that, and I can simply click OK. It doesn't want a target frame. Now, the other one which makes Expression Web really easy is the contact us. I'm going to select this. Again, I'm going to click on the hyperlink button here. I'm going to copy the text it's given me, or the email address. Now here I want to use an email address. So I'm going to click on this one. The email address is this one. So here's my subject. And this is what makes Expression Web with email hyperlinks really easy. That's it. It does it for me. And it's going to generate the code for me. As soon as I click on OK, there it is. That's the mail to the email address there. The comma to, the question mark to indicate where the email address ends, and then subject equals, and then what your subject is. So it does that for you. You don't have to remember this. Whereas the other guys using Dreamweaver, you have to remember how to write out this code. We're going to preview our page, and we're going to test our links. So this is the first link. If I click on this one, it should open in a new window. There it is, opens a new tab up here. There's the file name. This one here, again, it's going to open another page, but it won't be a new window because it didn't have a target. There you go. That's fine. Go back. And then this one here, when I click on it, it should open up my email program. Now, if it's your computer, you've got your email client installed on your computer, it will work. If it's not your computer, then you're going to get a message saying, do you want to set up your email now? Don't bother with that. But just to test this, I'm going to click on this. Here it is. Opened it up at the bottom here. Let me just close that. And there's my email address where it's sending to, and here is the subject. So that works absolutely fine. Okay, so here it says you're going to create the new external style sheet for the website. All color codes must be displayed in hexadecimal. Your style sheet must not contain HTML or scripting language. Create a new style sheet to meet the following specifications. All right, we're going to read all of this first because we need to get a good idea of what it is we're going to be doing. It says now in this part here, it basically shows us what we need to add inside the style sheet. So it says, place a comment at the start of the style sheet to contain your name, center number, and candidate number. Set a style for tables so that they are center aligned. Just highlight that. So the table has to be center aligned. We already did this in the code, but we can remove the code if we want to. It doesn't really matter. In the browser window, set the table and cell. So here we want the table and the cell borders. So this is going to be another property. Where we're going to have the table and the TD together so that they are white, visible, and 2 pixels wide. So I want white, visible, and 2 pixels wide. Then it says, save this as an external cascading style sheet in your plaster folder with the file name that. So it's going to look something like that. Hasn't told us to apply it yet. Take a screenshot to show the file name and all contents of your style sheet. Place this in your evidence document. So that's going to be a screenshot. We haven't applied it yet. And then number 9 says, attach the style sheet M25 plaster.css. Now we named it as M25 plaster 2. So they've given us another style sheet that we need to apply. And then it says, attach the style sheet saved in step 8, which is the one that we created here, to this web page so that it has higher priority than M25 plaster. Okay, so we're going to be attaching 2 style sheets and we need to set the priority to the second one. Now, once again, in my channel, if you want to learn about styles, internal styles, external styles, inline styles, hierarchy of styles, classes and everything, simply type styles in the search. And this one here, this is on styles using Expression Web. So it gives you a whole tutorial on styles, understanding all the different types of styles, internal, external, inline, and classes. And it will teach you everything you need to know. I've also got the same one here, but this one here is for Dreamweaver. So it's exactly the same thing, but just using a different application. So you guys should be looking at this one here. And this is a great tutorial for you to watch because styles are important and they're coming up a lot more in these exams. So let's get started by solving 8 and 9. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm going to choose CSS. So here's my CSS. Now, again, I've got my tag properties on the left and I've got my styles properties on the right. Again, watching the tutorial I showed you at the beginning on setting up the introduction of Expression Web will show you how to make all of these appear. So the first thing that I want to do here, it says, I want to place a comment at the top. Now, at the top in the ribbons, if I right click up here, I've got the code view enabled. So if I didn't have that, I can right click and choose code view. And that gives me the different codes here. If you leave your mouse rest on top of these, it tells you what each one does. So this one here, and if you remember how to do the code, this inserts a CSS comment. So to create a comment in CSS, we use /*, put our comment, and then //. So if I click on that, it does it for me. And I can put my comment here, which is name, center number, candidate number. And essentially a comment basically means it's in between these things here. It's not seen as part of a code. It's just text. It won't read it as code. Then it said, set a style for tables so that they are center aligned in the browser window. Now I need to insert a new style, and over here, the apply styles here, you've got the new style button, but you've also got it up here if you wanted to in one of these buttons here. But I like this one here. So if I click on new style, it opens up my dialog box. There it is. And at the top, I'm going to write the name of the property I want. And the property I want is table. I don't want this one here because that's going to create a new class. It's got that dot there. So if I click down here, I can scroll down and find table, or I can start typing table and it will find it. But there it is. This is my table property. And I want my browser to be aligned in the center of my window. And for that, I'm going to go to position. Actually, no, is it box? Box. I want to set the margins, the left margin and the right margin, to be automatic. Now, what does that mean? It means that if my table is, say, 80% of the window, I've got another 20% left over. So if I make my left and right margin automatic, it will see how much is left over, which is 20%, and distribute it evenly, 10% and 10%, placing my table in the middle. Now, if again, I'm just going to jump over here. I have, again, and I keep going to this. It's just easier than putting the links, just showing you what to look for. If you type tables, you're going to see I've got a tutorial which covers everything on tables. Now, it uses Dreamweaver, but the explanation and everything you need, whether you're using Expression Web or not, is exactly the same. The tutorial is fine. It will help you understand all the different parts of a table, the table tags, the TD tags, the TR tags, cell padding, cell spacing, whether the borders are separated or collapsed, all of these things. Okay, so that's a fantastic tutorial for you to watch to understand tables and the properties for tables. So in this case, I want the margin. I don't want the same for all. I just want the right to be automatic and the left to be automatic. When I click on OK, it puts my table tag, and this is what the examiners are looking for: margin right and margin left auto. Now, even if you have the top and the bottom, so all of them are exactly the same, and top and bottom are also automatic, you won't lose marks. What they're looking for is the left and the right margin here. Perfect. So let's move on. The next part says set the table and cell borders so that they are white, visible, and 2 pixels wide. Okay, so for here, I'm going to add a new style. I'm just going to add table again. I'm just going to type it in. Now, I can also put comma TD here because I want to apply it to both the table and the TD. Okay, or you could just put table or TD and then put the comma afterwards. I want the border to be the same for all of them. So the border width, I'm just going to make, it doesn't say what it should be. So I'm just going to put here, let's say 1 px, 1 pixel, or actually it's actually got the px here, the property there. And the border color should be white. So that should be all FFF. So all the borders for the table and TD look like this. Click OK, and there it is. Now, if I had only chosen the table tag, then I could just simply just put here comma TD. And that means it's going to apply these properties to the TD as well as the table tag. And this is known as efficient programming technique. Okay, so it hasn't told me to save yet, which really kind of concerns me. I don't like that. I really do like saving as I go along. So I've done that. It now says to save this with this name in my plaster folder. So let's go and do that now. File, save as. I need to go to my desktop where I've got all my files. There it is there. Go into the plaster folder. And then here I'm going to call this M25 plaster 2 underscore CY127 underscore 1234. Now, I could put the .css here if I want to, but can you see here it says save as type web page? I just need to make sure that is a CSS. There it is there, and it will apply the correct extension. So don't take things for granted. Just double check everything. Click save. And now I'm also going to open up my folder and make sure it's inside here. There it is there. CSS. It's inside the plaster folder. Everything perfect. Good. So I've saved it. Let's go back and see what it tells us to do next. Okay, so take a screenshot to show the file name and all contents of your style sheet. Place this in your evidence document. Make sure the file name and contents are clearly visible. Okay, so from here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my snipping tool. New, and I'm going to take a screenshot which includes the tab with the file name at the top, because this is what they're looking for here for the file name, to make sure you have saved your style sheet. All right, and then I'm going to go to my evidence document. I've got this open. Now, we created the evidence document in task 1, and the first one, this screenshot here, that's basically of task 2, the file management. We're going to place our screenshot here and just do a quick save, file, save. So there's my screenshot that has been saved. Okay, so now I can go back to my question paper. We're going to go to number 9, where we're going to attach the style sheets. Now it says the style sheets we need to attach this style sheet first, the m25plaster.css, and then attach our style sheet, the one that we made, but it should have high priority. Now, once again, very quickly, guys, styles are very important. So from my tutorials here, if you go to styles, you will see I've got a tutorial here on styles. Very important, explains absolutely everything. Watch that tutorial. All right, so it basically explains also about priority and hierarchy of styles. Now, what we're going to do from here, we're going to go to our web page. We're going to attach our style sheet. So over here on our apply styles, we've got the attached style sheet here. Really easy to find. There are other ways as well that you can attach style sheets. There's 3-4 different ways in every application to do different things. This is just my preferred method. I'm going to go to browse, go to my folder. And here is the M25 plaster CSS. So I'm going to double click on that, or just click and open. There we go. And click OK. And that has applied my style. You can see I've got this dark theme now, white text, so on and so forth. And if I look in my head section at the top, all the way up here, in between the head, here is the link to my style sheet, M25 plaster.css. Okay. Now I'm just going to put a bit of space here. Now in here, what we now have is that link. Now, if I want to attach another style sheet, then it's going to add it either above or below that one. Usually it's going to add it below, and we're going to understand what the difference is in a second. So I'm just going to click inside my web page here, so I make sure I'm somewhere in the body so that it can attach the next style sheet. I'm going to go to attach style sheet, browse, and I'm going to attach my style sheet now. No, not that one there. There's my style sheet. Double click, click OK. And now I can see I've got another link. You see that there? I've got 2 style sheets. Now, the first one is on line 7. The second one is on line 9. Well, which one has priority? Well, if I was to give you directions, go straight and then turn left. And I say, oh, no, hang on, sorry, mistake. Go straight and turn right. The directions you would follow is straight and turn right. You wouldn't turn left, because the last thing I said to you was to turn right. That's exactly the same thing with style sheets and commands when it comes to HTML code. The last line has priority. So in this line here, it might say that the text should be red, but in this style sheet here, it says that the text should be blue. So the text will be blue, meaning this one has priority, and this one is the one which I generated. Okay, so that's great. We've done that. I'm just going to do a quick save, file save, and I want to preview my page now. So if I do a quick reload, there we go. There's my page. Let's just zoom that out, squash that in. I'm going to explain to you how to adjust. Okay, now what do I see here? Well, I've got some white text. All the borders are visible, which is what I was asked at the very beginning. I see I've got my border collapse is separate, and there's some spacing between the cells. That's probably because of the style sheet that they gave us. Let's go have a look at that. If I was to go to file open and just open the style sheet that they gave us, just have a look and see what we don't have to, but just out of curiosity, let's open the CSS, that one as well. So we can see here, it's got here table, there you go. It says border collapse separate and the border spacing is 20% and the padding is 20%. So this has been given to us, and that makes sense why we've got the border spacing really big, and we've got the cells padding as well. So that all works great. That's absolutely fantastic. Let's go back to our question paper and see what we have to do next. So finally, number 10, it says save your web page, take a copy of your HTML source code and place it in your evidence document. Then it says display your web page in a browser. If necessary, resize it so that all the page can be seen, all text can be easily read, and the address bar is visible. Take a screenshot showing your web page in the browser, place this in your evidence document, and we're finished. So let's go do that now, because a lot of students have trouble getting the right size and displaying their web page on one or in one browser window. So the first thing that I need to do is to take a copy of my HTML source code. The source code is all of this. So I'm just going to click up here, Control A, and then Control C. So I've selected everything and copied it. I'm going to go to my evidence document and go to a new page, paste that in. That's taking a little bit more space than I want. So I'm just going to select all of this. And your IGCSE students, you should know how to do word processing. I'm going to make the spacing 0, 0, and single line spacing. Let's see what difference that makes quite a bit of difference there. I've got some gaps here, which I'm going to get rid of. Now, you don't have to do this. It just makes it so much easier for, let's just increase the page margins as well. It makes it so much easier if the code is possible to fit on one page. It just makes it easier for your examiner, and that's it. That's basically what it's about. So make it easy for the examiner. The examiner might be nice to you. And over here on this page here, we're going to put a screenshot of our web page. Now, generating the web page screenshot. When it's in full screen like this, we can see I need more than one screenshot. Okay, that's the first thing. So the way we do this, there's two things we adjust so we get the perfect size for a screenshot. The one is the zoom. If I zoom out by holding the control button on my keyboard and moving the mouse wheel, I can zoom in and out. But if I do that, the text is really small. So that's not good enough. So I'm just going to zoom that in. What you need to do is to change the width of your window, the size of your window, together with the zoom. So if I make my size like this big and then just zoom out a little bit, there you go. I've got a perfect size. I've got a vertical scroll bar here. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. There we go. So now I've got a window which displays absolutely everything in one window. I can adjust it a little bit more if I want, like that. That shows very clearly the margins on the left and the right. My table is 95%. My text is readable. And now my screenshot, extremely important. We do not do this. You don't do this for a screenshot. Why? Because this does not show you've taken the screenshot from your browser. This could be from your editor, so you won't get the marks. What you need to do is to take a screenshot that looks like this. Take all of the edges of the browser window like this. Can you see I'm taking a little bit from the outside as well? And that shows, if I reduce that, that shows my whole browser window. It also shows the URL at the top, which is what they're looking for. It shows the tab of the browser. It shows the bottom of the browser, which shows that there are no horizontal scroll bars, meaning I'm showing the whole web page, and it shows the whole of the right hand side of the browser window here, and there are no vertical scroll bars there either. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, and we're going to put this inside here. I'm just going to click on that, make it tight, just so I can make this bigger, move it around easier. And that is a perfect screenshot. Isn't it funny? I always tell you, do not print using dark mode. And here we are taking a screenshot of a web page, which is essentially in dark mode. It is what it is. But please make sure when you do print that all your printouts show clearly. And that's basically it. Now, that was the tutorial for the 2025 March paper 3-1 using Expression Web for task 3, which is the web design. That was not a hard paper, but it is important to understand that you need to read the questions carefully. You need to be methodical. Don't jump ahead. Read ahead, but don't jump ahead. Okay, because you might lose a step. If I had attached, for example, when I was doing this, if I had attached straight away to test my style sheet first, it would have put my style sheet first and then the other style sheet last, which means my style sheet here would not have priority. So I would need to go and just double check that and make sure everything's okay. So the other thing is with Expression Web, we don't have the HTML5 codes, so we don't have the video tag. And we used in this tutorial how we can use the image tag with the source to generate the video tag. And that was really easy to do. Again, the tutorials for task 1 and task 2, the evidence document file management, and task 4 for the spreadsheet, you can find in the description of this video at the bottom, so you can see the tutorials of this whole paper. And as always, guys, if you've learned something new, you've liked what you've seen, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And me, Nikos Parfidis from Sunny Cyprus, will see you in the next tutorial. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.